Everyone, welcome. Hi Ikram, hi Mosina, hi Raj, hi Shrenik, hi Yogita, hi Abdul.
Yeah, hi, all the best, everyone.
Hi Adil.
Hello.
So guys, if you have any questions or any concerns, the chat window will be open. So you can directly start, writing down in the chat. Hi Nandish. So this webinar is for all the students who are planning to go to Australia in the coming intake. Okay. We are waiting for everyone to join. It's 12:01. Hi Anuj. Hi Masood. Chat window is open for everyone. You can start putting down your questions and we'll definitely try to pick up your questions and answer it in this session itself. Hi guys, hi. A lot of students are joining and we can't just wait to start having a conversation with all of you. Hi Yukti. Hi Hardik. Hi Vijay. Hi Vismay. Great. So guys, the first thing that you did right was to register for this webinar. That shows your commitment and you are showing up today on this Saturday morning. Shows how serious you are to fly for Australia and achieve your studying abroad dreams. So thank you so much for joining today, and I welcome all the panelists who spared their time to answer all the questions of students around studying abroad. So let's move on. Let's start with the webinar, and we are going to cover Q&A around visa, housing, travel, and more. And guys, I'll make sure that I pick up your questions and address it with the help of panelists. So moving on, let's start with a round of introductions. I'm Aman, I'm the host for this session, and we have panelists from different fields around studying abroad. And what you have to do, just write down your name and the destination university you are planning to attend. That would do. So waiting for introductions from everyone. The chat window is open. Let's quickly do it. I want to keep it engaging. It should not be a one-sided conversation that is happening. So please write down your name and destination university. Okay. So Vinay is going UWA Perth. Shrey, Deakin University. Great, Shrey. Kushagra, UQ. Great. Anuj is going La Trobe. Raj Parmar is going UTS. Perfect. Please mention. Let's have a round of introduction, guys. Ravindra Syanbon. Nandish is going to RMIT. Amazing. Guys are waiting. Come on, let's do it quickly. Mohammed is going to Latro. Yogita Rohit is going to Deakin University. Perfect. Vismay is going to Monash. Amazing, guys. It's good. Right. I guess all of you are pumped up to, go for this, go for your respective universities. And guys who are joining right now, so we are doing a quick round of introductions. Chat window is open. Just write down your name and the destination university you are planning to attend. And then we'll quickly move on to the next part. So these are the three components of this whole session. We are going to cover visa, travel, accommodation one by one. So the panelists that we have in-house are experts in their own fields. So you'll be able to learn about visa, the requirements and regulations, and you will learn about the travel requirements, the pre-arrival and the post-arrival information that is needed. And lastly, accommodation. what are the student housing options that are available? How should you choose the right type of accommodation, because you're going to stay there for a couple of years, right? So it's very important. So moving on, let's welcome our panelist. So Amir Usmani is here. He's a visa officer who will be answering all the visa related questions. And Maulik, our study abroad expert, will help us in understanding the travel requirements. And Shraddha is an accommodation expert who will help us in understanding the accommodation ecosystem. Welcome all the panelists. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. Thank you so much for sparing the time to answer student queries. So let's start with visa. Amir, welcome to the session. Hi, Amir.
Hi, Aman. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much. So let's begin. We will save everyone's time and we'll make sure that this is a very productive session. So let's start with the most basic but the most important question, which is an overview of visa for the students. So a lot of students will get a clarity that what are the components of it. So let's start with that, and then we'll go to specific questions.
All right, Aman. So let me just give you tell you that how the visa process goes, and before the visa, what all things you have to keep in mind, and what all documents will be required. Okay, so whenever you are planning to go to Australia, the very first thing is you will apply to the university or the college you are going. Okay, and once you have been accepted by the college or the university, they will give you a conditional offer letter. By conditional offer letter means that they will give you some conditions where you have to show some of the documents. It can be your educational documents, it can be your financial documents, and they can conduct your interview as well. Okay, and once they have given this, then you have to meet all those conditions. Okay, they will conduct your interview as well. The process is called GT. For the GT, basically consists of three things. First one is the interview. Okay, the university will conduct the interview of the student. They will ask the questions related to their educational background, their motive to come to Australia, their reason for choosing this course. Okay, and you have to provide a SOP, that is the statement of purpose. Why you have chosen this university, this college, all these detail has to be there in the statement of purpose. Okay, then comes the financial things, like the university will check whether you will be able to pay their fees or not. Okay, so they will ask you to show the funds. Okay, once this thing is done and they are satisfied, then the university or college will release a COE, that is the confirmation of enrollment, which is very important to apply for the visa. Okay, so once you get this confirmation of enrollment, then you can start preparing for the visa. Okay, for the visa, what all documents will be required is the very first thing is the confirmation of enrollment, your passport. If you have the old passport, that too also will be required. Okay, then you all of your educational documents starting from your 10th till date, your work experience documents if you have any. Okay, then the financial documents, which is very important. Financial documents are like, let's say if you have having a sponsor, let's say your father is the sponsor, then you have to show their occupation proof. If he is into business, then you have to show the business registration, then the 6-month bank statement. Okay, then the ITR, all these the mandatory documents which you have to show, and you have to show the funds for the the living expense and the tuition fees. Okay, once all you have prepared all these documents, then you have to apply for the visa on the immigration portal. You have to make an account, you have to fill the application form, you have to pay the fees, and then you have to submit your visa application. Okay, then embassy will take the time, they will process your visa, and they will issue the result. So this is the whole process from starting from the applying for the university or college to the visa application. Over to you, Aman.
Right, right. I guess that will be helpful, and that will provide an overview of the overall process, that what exactly is visa. Moving on to the next question, which is an important one. What are the documents that are required for visa application?
Okay, so whenever you are applying for the visa, the very first thing is the visa passport. As I said, you will be required all the passport, all scan pages, okay, which has to be colored, your current passport, your old passport, and if you have any visa stamped on the old passport, then that too also will be required. Okay, then your offer letter, the conditional one, okay, and the confirmation of enrollment, which you have got after the processing of GTE. Okay, then all of your educational documents, your travel history if you have any. Okay, then your sponsors documents, as I said, your ITR of the sponsor, occupation proof, bank statement. Okay, and suppose if you are showing the funds in the FD form, in the education loan, then those documents will also be required. Okay, so these are the mandatory documents which you have to upload in the immigration portal to get your visa done, and make sure the documents which you are uploading is scanned properly. It should not be mobile clicked. Okay, the detail has to be very clear, because all the process is online. Otherwise they will ask you for the additional document, then the visa process may also get delayed, right? So these are the mandatory documents. General checklist you can get from the like Google, also from the immigration portal also, but the specific checklist is upon depends to the applicant profile. Okay.
Right. So, Amir, we have a question from Raj. He's asking that is all such documents like idea statement need to be notarized? True copies or normal documents will work?
No, it is not mandatory to be notarized. Okay, the acknowledgement page and the like competition, the complete ITR you have to show. It is not mandatory. If you are from the state like Haryana and Punjab, then you can like notarize the document. Okay. Otherwise, for other state, it is not mandatory.
Okay. There is another question from Akash. He's asking, what if fund from selling property? I guess he's talking about documents from.
Sorry, can you repeat that again, Aman?
So Akash is asking, what if fund from selling property? What documents I need to show? I guess
Okay.
it's somewhere around funds.
Yes, got it. Okay, if you are selling your property, okay, then you have to show the sale deed. Okay, that document you have to attach with your application.
All right, Akash, I hope that answers. So Jay is asking how to check our student visa application.
Okay. See, as a there is nothing like we can check the visa application. Okay, you can ask your agent where you have applied the application. Okay, they can only check whether it will show on the immigration portal the status of the application, whether it is under process or they need any additional documents.
Right. Okay.
Or
So
at the last, you can what you can do is you can just drop a email to the embassy with your application number. But generally, they don't answer such questions, the status of the application.
right. I guess there are a lot of visa applications that are in process. So that could be the reason. Yeah. So guys, keep on asking questions in the chat window. I'll try my best to pick it up and ask to the panelist. But we also have pre-scheduled questions which are asked by a lot of you only. So let's get down to that. So what factors can affect visa success ratio?
Yeah, it's a very good question. What factors can affect the visa success ratio? Okay, suppose I am applying for the visa. Okay, my profile is I have like completed my graduation. I'm going for the master. I have work experience also. Okay, so suppose if I am submitting my application and I forget to like attach my work experience documents, right? And there is a gap after my studies. Okay, then embassy will ask you for the additional document. Let's say I have picked your application, you have submitted your application, okay, on 15th of November. अभी like it is 25th November today. Okay, 10 दिन हो गए. अब 10 दिन के बाद में embassy ने आपकी application pick करी है. Then they will start processing the visa and they will see that the document is not complete. Okay, then they will send you an email. Okay, they will send you the requirement that you have to like justify the gap, why this gap is there. Okay, in that case वो आपको requirement भेजेंगे, गैप के लिए आप डॉक्यूमेंट्स प्रोवाइड करोगे. अगेन उन्होंने 10 दिन बाद आपकी एप्लीकेशन पिक करी प्रोसेसिंग के लिए. तो ये जो चीजें होती है लाइक इनकी वजह से प्रोसेस भी डिले होगा. ठीक है, और अगर आप फेल हो गए वो गैप जस्टिफिकेशन प्रोवाइड करने के लिए, देन ऑल्सो इट विल अफेक्ट योर वीजा. Okay, suppose if you have uploaded any document which is blurred, information is not clear, okay, then also it will affect your application. Another thing is shortage of funding, which is very important. आपको लाइक फीस दिखानी थी 1 साल की, आप सिर्फ एक सेमेस्टर की दिखा पाए हो, उस केस में आपका वीजा सक्सेस पे इफेक्ट होगा, वीजा रिफ्यूजल हो जाएगा. So these are the key points, which is the like very basic thing which I guess every student know.
Right, right. So, guys, as Amir is sharing very valuable information, I hope you guys are taking notes. Do ask questions and we'll pick it up. And I hope that clarifies, an understanding around visa success for sure. I'll move on to the next one. Yes, I guess that's a very valid question, and a lot of students are asking similar questions around this. So, Amir, how many sponsors can I have for my visa application?
Okay. Uh, the first thing is like we have to understand who can be a sponsor. ठीक है, स्पॉन्सर कौन हो सकता है बच्चे के लिए? स्पॉन्सर वही हो सकता है जिसके साथ में बच्चा अपना रिलेशनशिप प्रूव कर सके. लाइक दे कैन बी माई पेरेंट्स, ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स, अंकल और आंट. ओके, ब्लड रिलेटिव इन शॉर्ट वी कैन से, जिनके साथ में हम रिलेशनशिप प्रूव कर सकते हैं. रिलेशनशिप प्रूफ कैन बी शोन थ्रू लाइक अ फैमिली ट्री. Okay, suppose if my sponsor is my uncle, then I can give my father ID, then my grandfather ID, okay, then my uncle ID. उससे क्या है, मेरा रिलेशनशिप प्रूफ हो जाएगा. तो वो मेरे स्पॉन्सर हो सकते हैं. नाउ कम्स टू द क्वेश्चन, हाउ मेनी स्पॉन्सर कैन आई हैव फॉर वीजा एप्लीकेशन? द मैक्सिमम लिमिट इज 5. 5 आपके स्पॉन्सर हो सकते हैं, ठीक है. बट अगर 5 स्पॉन्सर हो सकते हैं तो आपको ये नहीं करना है कि आपको 5 ही लोगों को स्पॉन्सर बनाना है. ये एम्बेसी ने हमें एक लीनियंसी दी है कि हम इतने स्पॉन्सर कर सकते हैं. ओके, आप कोशिश करो कि जितने कम स्पॉन्सर हो वो आपके लिए बेटर है. कैसे बेटर है? सपोज आप 5 स्पॉन्सर करते हो, आपको पांचों के डॉक्यूमेंट देने पड़ेंगे. राइट, यू हैव टू अटैच देयर बैंक स्टेटमेंट, ITR. तो आपकी जो फाइल है उसमें डॉक्यूमेंटेशन ज्यादा हो जाएगा, तो प्रोसेसिंग में ज्यादा टाइम लगेगा. सिंपल, इसको एक एग्जाम्पल की तरह समझते हैं. सिंपल, मैं आपको एक एप्लीकेशन देता हूँ जिसमें 100 डॉक्यूमेंट है, ठीक है. दूसरी एप्लीकेशन देता हूँ जिसमें 20 है. तो आप कौन सी पहले प्रोसेस कर पाओगे? सिंपल है, जिसमें 20 है. आप उनको जल्दी वेरीफाई कर पाओगे, जल्दी अपना डिसीजन दोगे. 100 जिसमें है उसमें टाइम लगेगा. सेम गोज फॉर द स्पॉन्सर एज वेल. ट्राई टू गिव द इंफॉर्मेशन इन लेस डॉक्यूमेंट्स. द मोर इंफॉर्मेशन इन द लेस डॉक्यूमेंट. ओके, do not miss anything. So the maximum sponsor is 5 and the rest depends to your funding part. Okay, अगर आपका फंड जो है एक स्पॉन्सर से पूरा है, then no need to show the second one. Right? I hope this answers the question.
Right, right. I guess that does. I mean, Priya in the chat has a similar question. So it's around that if our sponsor is a relative, then should we show parents' statement?
Okay. Specifically, like may I know like who is the like in relative who is going to sponsor, like uncle or someone from mother side or for the father side? Okay. Yes, of course. See, the question is like whether they have to show the parents ITR or not. You cannot depend completely on the relative. Okay. अभी आपकी रिलेटिव से अच्छी बनती है, राइट, दे आर रेडी टू स्पॉन्सर यू. वंस यू आर इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ठीक है, उसके बाद में लेट से किसी वजह से आपकी उनसे नहीं बनी, उस केस में क्या होगा? So embassy will also look for this. So it is better to show the funds of your father or like siblings also.
Okay. And I guess that will help Priya in getting an understanding. And Ahmed, let's try to stick to English for, addressing a bit all
Okay.
the points that we have. It's
All,
possible we have other students which are not Indians, right?
all right.
So, but guys, everything will be covered. So don't worry if you're not able to understand the past few questions that Abir answered in Hindi. So make sure to add it in the chat, and then we'll answer that too. Okay. So Abir, this is the similar question. So it's more around the questions are related, and you have been covering this. So what kind of funds can I show in my visa application if you can do a run through?
Okay. So what kind of funds? First, let's start from the very like which you can show in a simple way. That is the savings. Okay. Australia asked for the fund which is at least 3 months old. By 3 months old means that this fund has to be in the sponsored account for at least 3 months. You have to provide the bank statement for 6 months, but the fund has to be at least 3 months in the old. Let's say if you're submitting your visa application in the month of November, okay, then the fund has to be in account either from the August or from the July. Okay, then you can show the funds. So the very first thing is the savings. You can show the funds in the savings. Another one is the FD, which is called fixed deposit. Again, The fixed deposit has to be at least 3 months old. Okay. Another one is the education loan. You can get an education loan and that you can show, but you cannot depend completely on the education loan. Make sure if you are getting education loan, then show some funds from your end also. You cannot depend 100% on the education loan. Okay. Another thing is like the PF fund, GPF fund, all these are acceptable, but with a condition, that is the withdrawal letter, which you can get from the PF office. Okay. You have to get a letter from the PF office. They will mention that suppose if you in your PF account, the sponsor has a fund of 20 lakh. Okay. That doesn't mean then they can show the 20 lakh. They have to get a letter from the PF office. They will mention that this fund, like suppose they are having 20 lakh, then they will mention in the letter that 10 lakh is ready to withdraw from the account as of now. Okay. So the fund calculated will be 10 lakh. Okay. Another thing is the student generally asked that whether they can show the mutual funds or the shares. Yes, you can show, but you have to liquidify the amount. Like you have to transfer the amount in your account. And as a source, you can show the statement. Okay, suppose if you are investing in a mutual fund, then you can show the mutual fund statement. Okay, as a source. So the fresh fund is also acceptable, but you have to show the proper source. Like if you are selling your land, then you have to show a sale deed. If you're showing your mutual fund amount, then you have to show the mutual fund statement. Okay. Yes, so these are the types of funds which you can show for the visa application.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. So I can see in the chat a lot of students are asking similar questions. And guys, don't worry. We have made sure that these are the frequently asked questions. And as Amir is answering these questions, most of your questions will be answered. So don't worry about that. So let's move on to the next one. It is can I depend completely on my loan to show funds? So if there is anything to add here, Amir, please do.
As I said, do not depend completely on your education loan. Okay. Embassy will check these things. Okay. They will ask for your parents' ITR, what income do you have? Let's say you are going for a course which is of 4 years. Okay. Education loan, this thing is like you have to understand. Education loan you will get on your tuition fees. Okay. Let's say you are going for a 4 years of course and 1 year tuition fees is 10 lakh. You will get the education loan for the 40 lakhs. Okay. So you have to show the living expense as well. For the when we apply for the visa, we show the like living expense of 1 year and the tuition fees. For tuition fees, embassy can understand that they have the education loan. But what for the living expense for the rest 3 years? Okay. They know that a student can cover, but you cannot like all everything has to be documented. Okay. So you have to show your like sponsors income, source of income. Okay. So yes, it is very important to show some sponsor as well along with the education loan. You cannot completely depend on education loan.
Okay. All right. I mean, let's move on to the next one. So this is around SOP. So just give us a brief that what does an ideal SOP looks like.
Yes. Okay. So we have to understand what is SOP. The word itself is statement of purpose. Okay. So when you apply for the visa, you have to tell the embassy, okay, that what is your purpose for going to Australia. Okay. How you will describe that? You will introduce yourself, the very first thing. Okay. You will tell about yourself, about your family members. Okay. And the second things will come about your education and your work experience. Okay. You will tell them that what education you have completed till now, where you have worked till now. Okay. Then it will here you can add a point also. Like suppose if I mention about my work experience, okay, then I can show the need that I'm stuck somewhere in my career and I need additional like a higher education to complete that, to go to that stage. Okay, you can add a point here, right? Then you have to show the reason why you have chosen the Australia. Suppose if I want to go for an MBA in Australia in finance, that MBA finance is available here in India as well. But what is my reason to go to Australia to pursue the MBA from there only? I have to show that need in the SOP. Okay, that need embassy has to understand so that they can grant you the visa. Okay. So as I said, you have to mention why you have chosen Australia, why not other country, why not your home country, what is the requirement to pursue your course in Australia only. why it cannot be fulfilled in India or in any other country. Okay, then your professional goals. Okay, after completing the your education, what would be your professional goal, what you're going to do, how it will help you in your career, this thing you have to mention. And the very important point is your reason to come back to your home country. We all know that we can get a visa once we have completed our studies, we can get the post study visa there. Okay, but never show your intention in the visa, SOP while applying for the visa. Okay, if you will show, then your visa will get rejected, so you don't have to show that. Okay, so like you can play like this. Suppose if I want to mention reason to reason to return to my home country, I can show my goals to complete here in India. Suppose I want to establish an organization here, I want to work in India, I want to live with my family. There can be many reasons. Okay, so you have to justify like that. And you can mention about your funding part as well, like it can be a summary. Okay, how you have arranged the funds, like suppose you have get education loan, your how much your sponsor is giving the funds. So these are the key points to write a SOP. Okay.
Yes, that sums it up, Amir. Thank you for sharing that. It provides an overview that what are the components of it. So, Amir, the last question that I have for you. So this
Please.
is around CA report. A lot of students are asking in the chat window around that also. So, what are the key components of a strong CA report? Let's keep
Okay.
it short and let's keep it brief for everyone. We have travel and accommodation also that we need to cover.
Yes.
So let's wrap it up with this last question. Thank you.
Okay. CA report. Okay, we need to understand why we need to show this CA report, or is it mandatory or not? Okay, so let me tell you, it is not a mandatory thing, but yes, it is better to attach with your application. I will just give you an example here, which I have given earlier. I am going for a 4 years of course. Okay, I am having the funds. I am showing the funds for 1 year. Okay, my tuition fees and my living expense, and the rest 3 years is pending. Okay, so in that case, we attach a CA report. By CA report will show that for the rest of the 3 years, in emergency, in any case, they can like a CA will mention the like your assets are there in the CA report that you can sell them and you can pay your fees in emergency case. Okay, and now the comes to the point key component. What are the key components to write a CA report? You will go to the CA. CA will ask you how many assets you have. It includes your movable asset like your bike, car, mobile phone. Okay, all these things will be calculated in the movable. Then the immovable assets. Immovable assets will be your home, your land, if you have any. All these things they will calculate the valuation of that thing and they will mention in the CA report. Okay, if you have the gold, they will mention that as well. So these are the points which has to be mentioned in the CA report.
Right, right. So, guys, we are running a little short of time. So, don't worry, Amir is here only. So, keep on asking your questions around visa and he'll try his best to, answer those. But at the same time, I would love if your attention is on at the session because an expert is talking about that particular section. So, let's focus on that. But don't worry, all of your questions will be answered. So, moving on to our next section, travel. And for the same, I welcome Maulik here. So Maulik is a study abroad expert, and he'll help us in knowing what are the travel requirements, what are the pre-arrival and post-arrival things that we should do. Hi, Maulik. Welcome.
Hi Aman, how are you? Hi everyone.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining today. So, Maulik, the first question. It's around health insurance. Let's nail it. Is OSHC mandatory for international students?
Aman, OSHC, what is OSHC? OSHC is Overseas Student Healthcare. It is mandatory, yes, it is mandatory for international students in Australia because if you are not having an OSHC, you might get the chance that your visa might get cancelled also, and the visa you have applied, it might get on risk as well. And mostly students are not aware that OSHC might also help with the students for the medical treatment in Australia. Like no hospitality will be given for the students if they are not having an OSHC.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, guys, anything around travel, keep on adding in the chat window. We'll pick it up. I guess that brings clarity around OSHC. Maulik, let's start with the next one. When is the right time to book flight tickets?
Okay, so for the right time, Aman, is very subjective. But if you are having an offer letter, then it's the right time to book.
Okay.
Because if you do the math, you will be getting the fares in November for around 800 to 900 Australian dollars. While the same you will be booking in January, you will be getting in at around 1500 to 1600. So there is a huge price difference between these days. And that's the reason why we have said that we can provide them with the flight options at a way cheaper rates. And it would be better for them to book it as soon as possible to save a lot of money.
Right, right. So that means if I'm a student and I am going for the Feb intake, should I book it right now or should I book it within month or so?
I would suggest to book it right now. Reason being, because if let's suppose the student will say if the visa got delayed or cancelled, so they don't need to worry about that because the airlines provides partially refundable option. If your visa got delayed or cancelled, you don't need to worry about that. You just need to pay the cancellation charges, which is not more than 10 to 15,000. And it would be better for the students to book it right away. I would suggest to not wait for the time till you get the visa.
All right. Since the next question is already on the screen, so no surprises here. Malik, how to open a bank account and what are the requirements for the same?
Sure. So for bank account for Australia, I would suggest the students to go for the bank account. It is very mandatory. Reason being, you are traveling to Australia, you are having a daily essential needs of yours. You want to pay to your grocery bills, or you want to pay. If you will be carrying a forex card along with you, it can be a pretty problem for you. Reason being, forex cards don't work on tap and pays. They don't work on caps. So instead of carrying a forex card, you should always open a bank account, a student bank account. Reason for that is it is a zero balance account. You don't need to maintain any kind of charges, and you don't need to pay a conversion rates as well. So it's a pretty good option for the students to go for the bank account. And I would name the provider. It's a Revolut, Revolut. It's an Australian bank account, and it is a zero commission charges also, and it is a zero. They need to pay for the financial charges as well. So it's a pretty good one to open the bank account and for the Australia. And what is the requirement for the same is you just need to have a visa and your passport. That's all. And you can open it in India as well.
Okay, so if I have to choose between opening it in my home country versus I go to Australia and then I open it, what are the differences there?
See, if you will be opening it in India, you will be getting it only with visa and passport. But as there are some banks in Australia, those who might require that you need to first come and visit the branch, then only you can open the bank account, which can be a pretty hectic situation for the students because till the and it takes around 6 to 7 days to open the bank account. So till that time, what students will be doing it?
All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, Malik. So the next one is around exchange rates. So what are the exchange rates and fees for international money transfers?
Sure. So, Aman, before moving with this question, I would like to explain the students about the international money transfer because mostly are not aware. What is international money transfer? It is the movement of currency from one country to another. Let's suppose you are going to Australia, you want to pay your university fees or your accommodation rent. You can pay it through the different modes of payment. Either you can pay it through the bank, or you can pay it through the side as well, or they can pay it through the provider. So, in all three options, I would suggest the students to go for the provider. Reason being, they provide the cheapest conversion rates comparatively to the banks. For second, they provide the Swift copy within 24 hours, while bank does the same for 3 to 4 days.
Okay. So, Malik, I have some questions in the chat. So, Naveen is asking which bank is the best to open. So, I guess the question is more around bank account.
Sure.
Any suggestions?
Bank, which is the best bank to open in Australia, would be a Revolut right now. If you have not reached Australia, reason being it's a digital account, you can easily use it, and it's a zero balance also. So, Naveen, I guess this might answer your question.
All right. And there is another question from Adi Jain. So she's asking, she or he, I'm not sure, apologies. So can we open bank account without visa?
No, you can't open the bank account without the visa because visa is a mandatory thing to open the bank account.
All right. There is another question around money transfer. So Mayank is asking, what is the best and cheapest way to transfer money from India to Australia?
Yeah, so Mac, I would suggest you to go through the providers itself instead of the bank because the reason is you will be getting a cheapest conversion rates and that too with a lesser, the time being also and the process is also very digitally. So you don't need to visit the branches to make the payment. You can do it all this through the either the mode of NEFT or an RTGS.
Right. So I have a follow-up question on that one. So how frequently do we actually do money transfers and why it is that required?
See, Aman, reason is because I hope you have checked it out. It's simple as the accommodation. As the intake is near, the exchange student might get surprised also with this answer. As the intake is near, the exchange rate goes upwards.
Okay.
So if you are going for Australia and you want to pay for your university fees or your accommodation rent, your intake is in February. If you will be doing it now, you can get the chances for the very conversion rates, cheaper conversion rates. While if you will be doing it in January or in the mid of February, then you need to pay extra for that, for around 4 to 5 thousand.
All right. So what I am able to understand from all the answers that you're giving, it's more around that the right time to take action is kind of now. It's more, the more you wait, the more expensive it can get.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Okay. Guys, any questions around bank account, flight tickets, OSHC, or international money transfer? The chat window is open. I'll pick it up from there. Okay, Malik. So this is around international SIM card. How can I obtain one in Australia?
Sure. So for international SIM card in Australia, if the student wants to, we have two options. Either he can get it in India or he can get it in Australia. So number one, for the India one, let's take example for both of them. For the Australia, if the student is saying that I will be reaching Australia, then we will be getting an international SIM card. It would be pretty expensive. Reason being, because if you are not having a SIM card and you are traveling to a new country, how would you be able to connect with your loved ones? First. Second, if you will be taking international roaming charges, which would be pretty expensive. Reason being, you are paying around 2,000 rupees for just 5 GB internet, and that is just for 10 days. While
Oh,
the same, you can get the plan for 45 GBs of data and unlimited calls as well. And
right.
that is just for 2,500 rupees in INR. So I guess, and it's a physical SIM card which would be delivered to their Indian address only. So they just need to reach Australia and they just need to restart the device, and the device would be shown over there. Then it works.
Okay, that's convenient. Great. I hope that answers the question around SIM card, guys. So, connectivity is important. So take the decision accordingly. All right. The last question that I have for you. How would I know that I'm 100% ready for trip?
How would I know that I'm 100% ready for travel? Okay, it's a trick question, but yeah. So, I mean, this depends on the student to student, by the way. But for my reason, if you will be asking to me, the first I have this answer in this steps wise. So, first step would be to get a visa and OSHC first because it is mandatory for your travel. Second would be the accommodation because you might have the place where you might be living with, right? Third, I would suggest to go for the flight tickets because right now you can get a cheaper conversion rates comparatively, the cheapest flight options comparatively if you will be booking it afterwards. Fourth, you can you will be needing a separate cab which would be coming at your airport and would be dropping you at your desired destination because you are traveling for the first time. And guys, just to be aware about you, uh, Uber and Olas don't work on Australia. Reason being, there are a lot of students and the intake is near, so the cabs got cancelled frequently at the airport.
Okay. All right.
And fourth would be if you will be traveling to Australia, and I would suggest you, and I hope you guys know that your accommodation will not be able to provide you with the blanket, pillows, and bed sheet. So everything. Sorry, you were saying something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So blanket, pillows, and bed sheet would not be provided by the accommodation. So if you want to take it from, it would be better to take it. Either you have two options. Either you can take it from India or you can purchase it from Australia. So if you will be purchasing it from Australia, it would be pretty expensive for you. Reason being, you are paying it in the AUD, like the Australian dollars. So that means that you are paying extra for the amount. You can get it in India. And if you will be taking it in India, you might be having not having the enough luggage because mostly flights provide only 40 kgs till and 30 kgs for the Australian flights. So if you will be taking these things including in your luggage, you might end up paying more for the luggage as well. So to avoid that, I would suggest there are many student sites which do provide these type of kits which would be delivered to your accommodation directly. So instead of that, to taking it from India or paying it extra for that, you can order it and that would be delivered to your accommodation. So I guess that would be pretty convenient for them.
All right. I guess, that kind of sums it up for what do you require before you go to Australia. So, a similar thing that I have done, it's kind of a pre-arrival checklist. Make sure that all of these things are there with you. And if you have not done that, then you should definitely go ahead. And at the same time, I'm popping up one poll on the screen. Just let us know, what do you think after knowing all of this information from the panelists? How ready are you for Australia? Have you booked your accommodation? Have you booked your flight tickets? What about your healthcare, your visa, international SIM? Let's see that how ready all of us are. All right. So I can see people are responding. So okay, only 44% of the attendees have responded. Guys, come on. It's a self-check. It's a self-check that you have to do. How ready are you? Have you all booked your accommodation? Have you all uh, booked your flight tickets? What about your healthcare and visa? Yes. Okay. Amazing. I can see 36% of the participants are saying they are less than 50% ready. Guys, we are here to help you out. Our panelists are here to answer your questions. So don't worry. All right. Just few more seconds, guys. I'll end the poll. So if you have not answered it, please go ahead. Let's quickly do it. And after this pre-arrival checklist and after this poll, we will move on to the most important section, accommodation. So yeah, moving on. So we have Shraddha from University Living here. So she is the accommodation expert and she has 16 years of experience in this ecosystem. So she'll be answering all the questions around accommodations. Welcome, Shraddha. Thank you so much for sparing time and helping us, helping the students to know more about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aman. Thank you for the glorious introduction. And thank you for everybody for joining this session. I look forward to sharing information. And of course, the team will also guide you with your questions.
Right. So guys, I'll be asking questions around accommodation, but you can also do the same in the chat window. She has a 16 years of experience in this space. So let's roll it up. All right, Shraddha. So the first question is around types of accommodation. So what are the different types of accommodation options available in Australia?
Sure. Good question to start the session with. There are two types of accommodations in Australia, and also very typical to other countries as well. There's, of course, PBSAs. PBSAs are purpose-built student accommodation. They are managed buildings only for students. So only students are allowed to live there. They are off-campus student accommodations. And of course, there's the other type, which is HMO. HMO is house with multiple occupants. These are private apartments. So for those of you who are looking for more budgeted options or who need more flexibility in terms of the tenancy or shared or choosing a room type or how many people do you want to share the apartment with, HMOs are typically what we call PG in India. So they're shared apartments. Of course, apart from this, you also have the university accommodation option, something that we never sort of distract you from. And for those of you who have not made an application to the university accommodation and the university is still accepting application for on-campus accommodation, you can still apply. But at the same time, my suggestion is to always keep a backup option. So there's the PBSAs and the HMOs. Definitely look at your options, and particularly for those of you who haven't looked at accommodation yet.
All right. Okay. I guess that provides an overview. So my next question to you is, will I be able to choose my room type after booking a property?
Absolutely. Of course, it depends on availability. But yes, as a student in off-campus student accommodation, as well as in private apartments, you do have the option to choose a type of room based on how many people you want to share it with, whether you want to share the bedroom, whether you're open to sharing the bathroom with somebody else. Sometimes there are vegetarian students, you may want your own private kitchen. So based on your requirements, yes, 100%. You're allowed to choose a type of room in PBSA as well as in HMO as well. There might be a limitation with university accommodation where depending on availability, depending on preferences, you may or may not get the room type. However, in off-campus student accommodation, which is PBSA and HMO, you definitely can choose.
All right. Okay. So, Shraddha, can you tell us more about the duration of tenancy contracts for booking a property?
Absolutely. So, as mentioned before, PBSAs, that are student accommodations, they're fully furnished. You have different varieties of, room types that to choose from. All of them have fixed tenancies. Okay, student accommodations will always have fixed tenancies, and you need to choose from these tenancies. Now, typically in Australia, there is 6 months and there's 12 months. So you can choose from either one of these tenancies based on your requirements. Say, suppose you're going to travel after 6 months, or you're not going to be in your country, or your program requires you to sort of do an assessment where you don't need to be in the accommodation for, you can always choose the 6 months tenancy. However, for those of you who definitely plan to stick around and know for a fact that you won't be moving anywhere, at least for the duration of your course, you can book it for 12 months. 12 months is the maximum. And I'm sure you're curious, what do I do after 12 months? What if my course is a 1.5 year? Because Australia has a 1.5 year duration. You all have 2 years courses as well. You all have 2.5 year courses as well. You can always extend your tenancy by putting in a request to the property.
All right. Okay. So moving on, can you tell us some of the popular property providers in Australia?
Of course. So for those of you who've probably done a little research on accommodation, I think one of the most popular property in Australia is Scape. Okay, very, very popular. Lots of different buildings and properties and spread across the length and breadth of Australia. They're present in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, almost everywhere. But of course, they are slightly on the more expensive side and a little heavier on the pocket. So of course, there are other providers as well who are as good as Scape, like Y Suites, and there's Igloo, there is Uni Lodge, there is dwell apartments, there's campus student living, absolutely beautiful properties, all amenities there. There are fully furnished apartments with most amenities that you typically need, like cafeterias and a laundry room, conference room, study room, sometimes a gym in the property. So these are good properties located in very, very good areas and also safe areas.
Okay. So Shraddha, follow up on that. Why, as a student, I should look for a popular property provider if I can, go for any other also? What is the difference?
As mentioned before, that when I say popular properties, they're not just popular because of how they look. These are popular because of their the amenities that they provide. Say, for example, you don't have to walk to a laundromat 2 kilometers away twice a week if there's a laundromat within the property. Or say, for example, your criteria to choose an accommodation should definitely depend on how safe an area it is in, how accessible, places like hospitals or a supermarket or maybe a laundromat are to this particular property. So all of these factors definitely contribute to, how popular a particular property is. How well maintained it is. It's very important. How supportive the management is. Say you have a toothache in the middle of the night. Would the property sort of help you connect to a doctor or find the nearest hospital for you? So how much you can depend on a property also makes a lot of difference and makes a property very popular. So these are factors that one should consider when you're looking at how popular a property is.
Right. I guess it makes sense because, sitting in our home country, we think about the accommodation, but we don't think about other factors because we are going to stay there for a year, right? So I will understand why that should be also be considered. Thank you for sharing that. So in the chat, we have a question from Bhaskar. So he's asking, shall we book and pay for accommodation before getting visa or wait for it?
Sorry, could you repeat that for me?
So Bhaskar is asking, shall we book and pay for accommodation before getting visa or wait for it?
Okay, so you should, very good question, and thank you for asking that. And I want to address this to all the participants who are listening to me right now. One of the reasons why students or you hesitate to make any payment for accommodation before receiving your visa is because you're scared that you may or may not receive your visa, or there might be a considerable delay in receiving your visa. Well, you don't need to worry about it because 99.9 properties, particularly PBSAs in Australia, have a no visa, no pay policy. So which, I would want to elaborate on later on, Aman, a little more, but I'm going to stick to the question right now that yes, do not hesitate to make a payment for accommodation before your visa for the only reason that, property prices do increase as you get closer to the intake. So you do not hesitate to do that. And the deposit is very, very low. So it's not like it's a very big amount that, you can't shell out of your pocket. By paying a deposit, you're able to secure a particular accommodation and the deposits are very low.
All right. So Bhaskar, I already had a question in line, which was more around cancellation. So what are the cancellation and refund policies?
I'm glad you came to this, Aman. I wanted to talk about this with the participants because this is one of the most important topics. As I was saying before, that a lot of you may be hesitant to book your accommodation before visa because you're not aware of the refund and cancellation policies that properties have. Okay, but you should be aware of these for the only reason that this will allow you to book your accommodation early. So two policies that are very, very common, okay, and available with, as I mentioned before, 99.9% properties in Australia, PBSAs, are one is a no visa, no pay policy. Very important. This typically means, I'm going to keep it very simple, that for some reason, I hope that it doesn't happen, but for some reason, if you do get a visa refusal, the property will refund whatever deposit you paid to them till then. Okay. The second policy is a no place, no pay policy, which means that for some reason, if you have a conditional offer, okay, but you don't have an unconditional offer yet because you couldn't fulfill the conditions on your offer, and now you're not sure anymore if you will go or not go, and you're not sure anymore if you can abide by the deadline that the university has to fulfill your conditions, even then the property refunds the deposit amount to you. The third important cancellation policy, of course, in Australia is that most of these properties based on medical condition, or they even have a COVID policy. So for some reason, if somebody is affected by COVID, or if there is a serious medical condition which you can provide the proof for, the property refunds the deposit.
All right. So let me move to the next one, which is around the payment process. How will you do the payment at an accommodation?
Right. So in Australia, most of the PBSA properties do have a very set payment method, okay, which is very similar to the university's payment process. So initially, the payment that you would be making would be a deposit payment. What is the deposit payment for? For you to secure your room in that particular property. This security deposit can range from anywhere between, say, $50 to $300, $350 as well, Australian dollars. Okay. Now, this is not an additional cost. This will be eventually adjusted in your rent as well. Okay. So this is not an additional cost. This will either be refunded to you at the end of the tenancy, or will be adjusted in your rent. Then whatever remains, which is basically the remaining rent, okay, this rent can be paid in installments. So typically all properties, all PBSA properties allow you to pay fortnightly, okay, which is after every 2 weeks. However, on request being made to the provider to maybe pay monthly installments or quarterly installments or 2 installments, say 6 months, 6 months, some providers are flexible with the kind of, installments you want to pay your rent in, but the set payment or installment plan that they have is a fortnightly plan.
All right, I guess, it depends from student to student. If you can afford and do the upfront payment, well and good. But if you want to do it in installments, that is also good, right? Perfect. So before moving on to the next one, Shraddha, I can see in the chat, a lot of people are asking around OSHC, visa, and also accommodation. So guys, you can get a one-on-one consultation call with Maulik, Amir, and the team if you want to book OSHC, or if you want to, book accommodation. So that's there. I am going to rule out one form in the chat. Fill that form to get that call, and then we'll keep on moving in the session. So I've added it in the chat, so you can fill the form, and let's move on with the next set of questions. So Shraddha, when is the right time to start looking for an accommodation?
Very, very good question, and I can't lay enough emphasis on the fact of how important it is to book your accommodation early. Like all of this, you may want to know price points today. You may want to know how expensive is it going to be. How much will I have to pay earlier? What if I don't have that kind of money? What if my loan is not cleared and all of that? To avoid all of those hassles, it's very important to start looking for your accommodation early so that you have enough time to make that decision. I know it's not a decision you can make overnight. You will need your own time to manage the finances, to look for the right, because this is going to be your home away from home. This is going to be your home for the next 1 year or for the next 6 months, or maybe even more than that. So it's very important that you take your time with it. But if you do want to take your time with it, start looking at it early. 2 things that I want to mention are that as you get closer to the commencement of your course, the properties keep increasing the prices of the rooms. Okay. So typically, say a room is costing you $350 in the month of May, it will increase to maybe $550 by the month of August. So how much are you paying extra every month? Almost 200 Australian dollars. And that's a lot of money. Okay, so if you do want to save some money and you want a wide range of options to share from, we do recommend that you look at accommodation early. There are more options available at the beginning of the year, or maybe 6-7 months prior to your intake. However, as you get closer to the intake, there are most of the good options, the most affordable options, the closest options are all sold out. So what will you have to choose from? Either the ones that are very far away, or the ones that are very expensive, or the more sort of options that you would typically not like. Okay, not that we have any options that you wouldn't. Different, every student will have a different criteria. So if you do have more than 2 criteria, definitely look at accommodation early. You will end up saving a lot of money, and you will find an accommodation of your choices.
All right. So that makes sense. So guys, if you're going for Feb intake, what I understood is that this is the right time to book it. Within a week or so, we should finalize
I
all
beg
that.
to differ. It's not the right time. If you've still not booked your accommodation for the February intake, guys, you're very, very late. Okay. And I'm not saying that you've lost your bus and you've missed your bus. I'm saying that if you haven't started looking at accommodation yet, start it today.
Understood. Understood. So, Shraddha, is similar. Another question on accommodation. So, Kunal is asking, how's Facebook Marketplace for booking an accommodation?
How is Facebook?
Marketplace for booking an accommodation.
Well, it's decent. However, very difficult to comment on how legit some of the groups on Facebook are. You don't really know the identity of the people in these communities. I mean, you definitely need to check the how legitimate these are. You can gather a lot of information on these groups. However, I do recommend you to sort of have a mediator, somebody you can rely on, somebody who has like a platform that you can rely on before you share any information or make any payments.
All right. So my next question is on a similar line. It's more around what kind of precaution I should take before choosing a student housing.
Yes. And thank you, Aman, for asking this. Again, I can't lay enough emphasis on the fact that, every penny that you're spending is important. I mean, every penny coming out of your pocket is money at the end of the day. And one should be extremely cautious about where this money is going. Okay, so one request that I would make to all the participants is to not go to random websites, and when you Google and you say, find me the cheapest options in Sydney, or find me the cheapest property options in Melbourne, and there will be several websites that will open up lots of information that you will get. But how do you rely on this information? I do want to tell you that there are more and more students going abroad every year. The number of applications is increasing every day. More and more students are preferring to study abroad because of the quality of education, because of the wide range of courses that are available with universities. And so the more number of students going abroad, okay, there is going to be a very evident crisis of accommodation. Okay. And now, taking advantage of this crisis of accommodation, there will be a lot of fake websites. There'll be a lot of scammers online looking to make some, quick buck, and you can be a target for them. So I do request you to sort of, look for a more reliable source, who is able to sort of give you legitimate information, is able to give you verified, qualified, properties that are pre-marketing checked and are available for you. So do not make any payments. Do not go on random websites. I never shy away from the fact to gather information, but gather information, do not act upon it.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And guys, I know we are a little over time, but just stick with me for the last 5 minutes. I'll just take 5 minutes. And first of all, I want to thank all the panelists for being here and answering all the questions. And guys, stay here. I have something for you. So University Living is the platform which provides safe home for every student. It has a global presence. It has been serving a lot of students in multiple global cities. And so you can check the Trustpilot rating for University Living. You can check the Google reviews for university living. You can read the reviews. A lot of students are being helped by university living in getting the right space, right accommodation, and a safe space. So go ahead, do check it out. I am sharing the form link in the chat box again. So fill the form, get your free consultation, and we are here to help you. Our team will help you. Amir, Malik, they'll help you in understanding about different services that you want, accommodation queries that you have. You can get that. So claim your one-on-one free consultation. So that's available. Link is right now in the chat box. Fill that form. We have the last 5 minutes with us. So do that. So all your questions around visa, all your questions around OSHC, everything is you can ask that. So Kunal is asking, what is your consultation fee? Kunal, no fees. It's for free. This is a free consultation. This is only for the attendees who are with us in this session. So you can talk to them, you can understand more, but make sure that you're looking for something and it's not about just knowing. Take your time to make that decision, but you can get it done. And on top of that, we are going to share one study in Australia all-in-one handbook with you. It will cover all the information around Australia and city overview, cost of living. I saw that there were a lot of questions around that. I want to know the cost of living. A lot of questions were also directed to the panelists. So everything will be covered here. There are multiple checklists that are part of this handbook. You will get this handbook also. So fill that form and you'll get that call. And it's not limited to just one thing. It's not just limited to accommodation. It is not just limited to healthcare or flight tickets. You can have information around anything and everything, and the team is here to support you. So make sure, do check it out, fill the form. I'm looking forward to get some responses so that these experts can help you out. Yasser is asking is when Amadou Usmani will be there in the meeting. So yes, if you have questions around visa, you can talk to Amir. I guess there are a lot of fans Amir has captured in this session. So guys, that's there. So fill the form, and so let's look at the poll results. So we asked, how ready are you for Australia? Where these are the results. 28% saying they are 100% ready, and less than 50% ready. 28% are the responses for that. But overall, I can see 70% of the students are saying they are not 100% ready. So, guys, this is the time to get that information. This is the time to get your questions answered, and this is the time to make the decision. Feb intake is already here. So you have to do the movement. People who are going for July intake, I saw there was one message from a student who was planning to go for July. So for you, you should get information around your whole journey, how you should plan it out. So make sure you fill the form. Guys, I'll just keep it open for 1 more minute. At 1:10, it's a hard stop. We'll end that. So make sure you have filled the form, and you will get all the questions answered. You will get all the information from our experts. And that this handbook will also include the checklist to understand how ready you are. So have you booked your accommodation? Have you booked your flight tickets? And more and so on. So everything will be sorted in the call. So guys, I guess this is the time we say goodbye, but we'll be back soon, and keep connecting with us, and let's wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining today, and thank you for all the panelists who joined today and helped us in getting more information and queries resolved. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.